Well, hello and welcome to this weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Greek. And today we're going to focus on one word, the word chαίρειν, the word chαίρειν. This is from James chapter 1, the beginning of James' epistle, where he identifies himself and to whom he is writing. And then we have this interesting word, chαίρειν, right? You probably recognize that. That is from the lexical form is χαίρω, which means to rejoice, and all we have here is the most common infinitive ending, ein, the present active infinitive ending. So if we just saw this without any further context, we probably would translate it to rejoice. But what we have here is not a regular use of the infinitive, but an idiomatic use, and that's why in virtually every modern English translation, it's translated greetings. What do we mean by idiom or idiomatic use, right? An idiom or idiomatic use is where you cannot just strictly translate it grammatically and understand how it's functioning. An example of this would be, say you have a visitor to our country from another country who does not speak English, and you're translating for that person, and someone else says to that person, "What is up? What's up?" Right? Which is an idiomatic way of saying, how's it going? What's going on today? What are y'all doing? How are you doing? And if you translate that strictly grammatically into whatever language they speak, very likely they will be confused. They will wonder, why are you asking me about what is at a higher elevation than me? Why are you asking me about what's in the sky? Why are you asking me about the ceiling, right? Because that would not adequately convey the idiomatic meaning there. We might say if we were speaking Chinese, and I know I'm going to butcher the tones here, but if we're speaking Chinese, we might translate this into the Chinese phrase ni chilima, which interestingly is another idiomatic greeting, which means have you eaten? Which, from my experience around Chinese people, there's never really much concern about whether you've eaten or not. It's just like no one's asking you what's up in the sky. It's just sort of like, hey, how's it going? Something like that. So you could translate one idiomatic phrase into another idiomatic phrase if you understood both languages well. Now, this idiomatic greeting, it's a formal idiomatic greeting, chαίρειν, which I think the English greetings conveys that idea nicely, only occurs 3 times in the New Testament. So one of them is here in James 1:1, and another one is in Acts 15:23. And interestingly, this is a letter which is sent from James also, and from the apostles and elders with him. If you remember the context of Acts 15, this is where there's the Jerusalem Council. Some of the people from the Pharisees are saying the new believers need to be circumcised according to the law of Moses in order to be saved. And Paul and Barnabas and Peter contend that God accepts Gentiles by faith, and they don't need to be circumcised. They don't need to become Jewish. And the Holy Spirit rightly guides the church to understand that Peter's view, Paul's view, Barnabas's view there is God's view. And James says we should write a letter and express to spread our decision here among the Gentiles so they will know about this. James says we should write a letter, and then there's a letter. The letter doesn't say expressly that James dictated the letter, but he's the one who said we should send a letter, and then he's certainly included among the senders here, the apostles and the elders there in Jerusalem, sent to the brothers who are the Gentiles in Antioch, Syria, and Cilicia. And notice again, chαίρειν, right? It's this idiomatic formal greeting, chαίρειν, which again is translated nicely, greetings here. The third use of this we find in the New Testament is in Acts 23:26. And in this context, we have the Roman commander Claudius Lysias, who is sending Paul to Governor Felix with a letter explaining a little bit about his situation, explaining about the plot he discovered or was told about to ambush Paul and try to kill him. And so Claudius Lysias sends this letter, and he begins with the formalized idiomatic expression chαίρειν, translated again, greetings. So hopefully, now that you know every instance of chαίρειν in the New Testament as a formal idiomatic greeting, and maybe you understand a little bit more about the idea of idiom or idiomatic, and you understand the fun and the joy we have of reading the New Testament in the original Greek.